Hi, I'm Tim, and welcome to WatchUWant.com. Thanks for logging on. Today, we're taking the first of a three-part tour of WatchUWant.com's Hollywood, Florida headquarters. You're going to meet the team behind the machines as we check out watchmaking and polishing. These are essentially the people who make our watches tick. So come join me as we take the first of our three-part tour. We're standing in the WatchUWant.com client salon. This is sort of our living room. It's the hub of activities, and as our visitors, our guests, and our business partners come in to meet us, it branches off into operations, meeting spaces, sales, and the highlight of our operation today, watchmaking. Since our inception in 2001, arguably the single greatest leap forward we've taken has occurred in the past 5 months with the arrival of master watchmaker Mike Michaels from Uplo, North America. Now, as you can see, our company has garnered friends in major media, professional sports, and entertainment. But Mike's the superstar here. We're going to check out the workshop that we've built for him, the investment in equipment we've made, and his way of doing things at WatchUWant.com. So come on, let's go meet the man himself. We're here in the nerve center of WatchUWant.com's Watchmaking Activities. This is the studio where we do all of our intake, quality control, and operations on mechanical movements and quartz. And I'm here with Michael Michaels, CW21, the head of Watchmaking Activities at WatchUWant. Recently arrived from Uplo, North America, he's been a critical part of elevating our game and raising our facility standard and our service standard to those of 21st century high horology. How you doing, Mike?
Tim?
I want to talk a little bit about this bench, its equipment, and the standards that you brought with you from the factory service sector.
Absolutely. One of the things I did when I came into WatchUWant was I helped them put together a service center that the Swiss would be proud of. And everything starts with the bench. This is a German-made bench. It's the industry standard bench.
Now the catalog of benches also has factory air. I know you've got positive and vacuum.
Positive and negative air, from cleaning the smallest parts to blowing away the smallest piece of dust. The smallest piece of lint underneath the dial will eventually find itself into a gear train. That's why it's so critical. It's not just for aesthetics, but it will stop the watch. So dust is our biggest enemy. That's why we have a clean room in here. We keep this room completely spotless down to the window ledges.
And I know that when I've compared this to watchmaking setups in factory service situations, even at the manufacturers in Switzerland, I've seen everything from control of UV rays that made you grade lubricants, to the degree of cleanliness that you keep, even to the equipment that you have on your desk. This is up to the factory standard.
Absolutely. One of the things we do here, we have a south-facing window. So we are very, especially in the wintertime in South Florida, UV light could be very detrimental to our, as you said, our lubricants and the watches. We have both. Behind here we have UV block, but we also have these screens. And that allows us to still have ambient light.
You brought your standards with you, and you really
Absolutely.
spec'd out, outfitted, and specified and directed every aspect of this workshop. This is new as you are.
Yeah. Equipment and setup is paramount. If we were to get any certifications as Swatch or Omega, we had to present ourselves to the highest level. I was able to bring that with me just from setting up previous shops in St. Thomas, South Florida, knowing what the Swiss would accept as far as making a credible watch facility when one technically didn't exist.
And having trained in Switzerland, including in Fleurier, including in, I believe you trained in Geneva as well.
Absolutely.
The bottom line is you knew what that standard was, and that was, I believe, a big part of your decision to leave the factory service channels.
Absolutely. Also, working in a factory setting, it was totally different than what we do here. Factory setting, it allows the watchmaker, for lack of a better term, to become lazy. If something's not perfect, you reach over in a drawer, you pull out a new piece, you put it in the watch. Here we're under a little different pressure. If there's something wrong with the screw, we polish that screw. We make it look better. And aesthetics as much as anything else, especially in a Geneva steel watch. We set this up, it's a sparse shop, but the sparsity of it also allows us to keep it clean.
So it's kind of lean and mean, it's that story.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks so much, Mike. Let's take a little tour of the rest of the facility and the equipment that you've brought on board.
Let's do it. These are our job boxes that industry standard that we use. Each one is for individual jobs and or overhauls. I have the movements broken down, you know, which movements are actually being overhauled.
Okay.
This is a quartz watch analyzer. It measures the consumption, battery. We come over to here to our Watchmatic, which is This is really the state-of-the-art system because it also tests the Omega coaxials. We also have a built-in vacuum system for both cleaning small parts, for cleaning crystals, as well as pneumatics. This was our latest addition. This is the Diver 125 lid. It's actually made in Pennsylvania. One of the few pieces of equipment that's recognized by a Swiss company such as Omega. And this gives us the capability of actually testing dive watches down to their rated depth.
This is still an uncommon piece of equipment.
Very uncommon. When I was at Hublot, we did not have one of these. Chopard did not have one of these.
That was a big arrival.
Yes.
And now here's a golden oldie, but this is an important part of what it means to be a watchmaker, not just a tinkerer.
I use this day in and day out, from manufacturing of screws to remaking parts, refitting parts, polishing bushings. This is our Elma RM90 watch cleaner. At the end of the day, I'll tear a watch apart. I put it in here, turn the button on, and it's automatic. And it's going to go through a complete wash cycle, rinse cycle, 2 rinse cycles and a dry cycle. And I come in tomorrow, and then also with the air drying, there's no moisture or anything left in the watch, and it's ready to assemble.
And actually, here's a great piece of equipment that expands on the previous Chronoscope. This is fully articulated and motorized.
As part of our intake process, we use the Chronoscope S1, which is the latest in the Witchy line of watch timers. And what we have preset programs in here that we put in for different brands. We use this as a diagnostic tool to actually test the internal workings of the watch, amplitude, rate, delta. And again, it gives me an idea of the condition of the watch without actually opening it up, as far as lubrication, as far as condition of the hairspring, and what I can expect once I do open the watch. So I use this mostly when I do overhauls, because I want a delta. Delta is a split between the highest and lowest rates. We want a delta of less than 8 seconds. So that's anywhere in COSC is 8 seconds.
So if we do have a chronometer grade watch, we have the ability to replicate much of that test in-house.
And with all the watches we do, we test and we print out, and we'll actually get a printout of this. And it gives us a baseline as we sell the watches. We keep this ticket. So we can keep track of that watch. So when that watch comes back in 2 to 3 years, if we rebuy that watch, we can see what it did 3 years ago. And actually, well, is this watch ready for an overhaul now? Or, is it still okay?
So in terms of customer service down the line, we have the ability to track our clients' watches as they go out.
Correct.
To continue to advise on matters like servicing, upkeep, and maintenance of the watch.
Because not every watch needs an overhaul every time we see it. I'm not one of the people that believe that no matter what, you tear the watch down to clean it. Clean it down when it needs it, to save wear and tear on parts, and take it from there. One of the first things we do, as far as intake as well, is we do a water test on a watch to see what kind of condition it is as it comes in. This tests the watch in both a vacuum and a pressure state. And this is important because we expect the watches to go into outer space, but we actually see the watch in a daylight or a cloudy environment. The watches do expand and contract. So this will actually test the expansion of a watch and the compression of a watch. And as long as it holds that expansion and compression, the watch is water resistant. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite pieces of equipment because we have the digital interface. A lot of times people and our customers want to know before we purchase the watch, why does my watch need an overhaul? And one of the first things I look for lubrication. Even though we have good amplitude, we may not have good lubrication. And this is what I'm looking for right here. This is the lubrication bubble inside the capsule and escapement. And this is, even though there's lubrication here, this watch is going to have good amplitude, everything's going to run fine, but it does not have the reserve, the oil reserve that it should have.
Basically, it's running fast because it's getting so low on viscous lubricant.
Absolutely, absolutely. To show you a better view of what it should look like, this one is a little light. The edge should be right out here, but this one is okay. Something else we use this for, and we find defects. This is another just rust that we've seen inside of a watch, jewel, and a reverser, and a Rolex.
How did we get there?
We got there from running dry for years. Just running dry for many, many, many years. Lack of service. The watch is 45 years old and probably hasn't been serviced in the last 10 years.
So in other words, a watch that is killing itself isn't necessarily going to drop dead like a car that's out of gas.
It's just going to wear itself down to nothing. This is something else that we just show as demonstration purposes, broken pieces, and just trying to figure out the whys of why the watch is not performing correctly.
And we use this for diagnostic purposes,
absolutely.
But also for
documentation, for staff training and documentation, because people want to know what's wrong with their watch, and a lot of times just explaining, well, your hairspring is slipping on the collet. What? This is what's going on. This is why, with this piece missing right here, the hairspring is actually slipping on the collet here, so it's impossible to regulate the watch properly. This would not be a watch that we would want to purchase.
So what we're actually looking at here is a very sophisticated piece. This is a Patek Philippe silicon hairspring. This is proprietary technology. We're able to look at this under 40 power magnification and evaluate it the way you would at the factory.
Absolutely, to see if it's worth putting the investment into this watch or not.